Today, I want to go over the draft from Fnatic KC a few days ago in the LEC. It was really interesting, and Fnatic put together a really solid on-theme dive comp that was very well executed. Let's take a look. They open with B1 Vi. She's the best AD jungler right now with Viego in my opinion, so not a bad pick. The reason I've never been a huge fan of Vi in competitive is because she's very easily counterable in draft, but I've also come to accept that no pro team will ever pick actual counters, so Vi is good. Strong early, strong mid, strong late, and sets the dive theme for Fnatic early on. KC answer with Ezreal and Xin Zhao. The Xin is fine for the same reasons that Vi is good. He is also a more flexible champion in terms of playstyle, as he's not limited to only going in like Vi. He's easily able to play peel and disengage with his ult, which is useful to have in a jungle pick. The only thing I don't like about Xin is that he really wants an enchanter to take full advantage of his skirmishing capabilities, but pro teams never actually pick enchanters, so it's likely he will fall off very hard around 25 minutes this game. And the Ezreal is fine. With Kalista banned, it's Ezreal, Varus, and Ashe left in the high prio meta ADC pool, and into Vi, I would definitely like some mobility and self-peel. Fnatic take Kai'Sa and Ambessa on 2-3. This is continuing along with the dive comp. We've also seen Ambessa be a flex mid top now as well, so that's a potential twist as well if Fnatic want it, although Humanoid does not strike me at all as an Ambessa player. Even though Kai'Sa isn't a top tier ADC right now, she's not bad at all. She'll struggle in the early lane against Ezreal, but it's clear Fnatic aren't drafting to win lanes. They have a clear goal to group up and use their dive, so it all makes sense here. KC finished first phase with Azir, which is pretty good. Again, having mobility and self-peel into dive is very helpful, and the scaling and long range of Azir and Ezreal does have potential this game. The problem is Fnatic's dive is so easy to execute since they really just have to press their R keys, and the KC backline will pretty much auto-die. Through first phase, it's a pretty close draft, with KC having better scaling, but second phase will change that entirely. KC R4 Leona. So here's the problem looking at KC's champions. Xin and Leona are very short-ranged and skirmish heavy. Yes, Xin can play more disengaged style, but he's most effective really getting in the sauce and fighting up close. On the contrary, Ezreal and Azir want to sit back and play with their range, having enemy champions come into them. KC's champions have innate dysfunction, and they will automatically have a hard time playing the game because of that. Simply because they've drafted champions that want to do vastly different things inside the game. Compare this to Fnatic, who round out with Rakan and Aurora, who all want to turbo dive with their ults and kill the KC backline. Maybe Aurora isn't the most divey mid laner, but she can follow up well enough with her ult, and the rest of the comp is very well constructed. You can see it's clear what Fnatic want to do in the game, while KC really has no identity and doesn't have a goal with their team comp. KC finished with Pavi on R5 into Ambessa. On paper, she wins the matchup with the ground, but honestly, I haven't seen this counterpick do much most games. Yes, the W ground has huge value here, so that is understandable. Overall, huge draft win for Fnatic with a fully on-theme and easy execute dive comp, while KC have no consistent themes and no real way to deal with the Fnatic dive outside Azir ult and Ezreal E. Now I want to show you how I would have drafted against this Fnatic dive comp. Typically you have two options into dive, either disengage or death ball. Either one is valid and I will show you both. Going first for a disengage / anti-dive comp, we want to counter jungle in first rotation and pick the next OP while sticking to our theme, so we'll take Kindred and Ezreal. The thing KC got right about Ezreal is that it's the safest blind pick in bot lane, while also just being a very strong pick right now. And Kindred, as I've said for a while now, utterly destroys Vi. Her ult essentially makes the dive irrelevant, and then you can play from there. With Kai'Sa and Ambessa added, I will blind pick Galio on R3. While this is a risky blind pick, Galio is just too OP not to pick, and he also plays well with anti-dive. Galio ult acts the same way as Kindred ult. The second all the dive ultimates are used, we counter with ours and the dive is essentially negated. Trust me, I've played Vi into Kindred and Galio plenty of times. It's not fun. On R4 we take Karma. Most teams would think this is a support pick paired with Ezreal, but I have every intention of putting it top lane into Ambessa because I want to pick Janna on R5. It will completely neutralize her lane and it fits with the disengage peel style that our comp wants to play. And like I said, into Rakan especially, Janna is a super OP pick here. Overall, this is a very good concept for an anti-dive comp and will make Fnatic's draft much harder to execute. Now for the death ball. What this means is essentially that your champs want to stay clumped up together and have enemy champions walk into you, which obviously this Fnatic dive comp has to do. The thing about death ball comps is you don't need a whole lot of damage, really just survivability. We first rotate Ivern and Seraphine and finish first phase with a Aphelios ADC, who's one of the best ADCs against hard dive, along with Kog'Maw. Into second phase, I want to retain the Seraphine flex as long as possible, so I counter top with Poppy. On paper it beats Ambessa, and the ground value into all this dive is just too high not to pick. In hindsight, I can't believe Fnatic didn't ban this in second phase. And on R5, I decide to flex Seraphine to support and pick Swain mid lane, which is the ultimate death ball character. As you can see, it's different from the anti-dive comp, but functions similarly. You just stay grouped together and it's close to impossible for this dive to play the game. Thanks for watching, see you next time.